And we're back. You are listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the International Business Growth Radio Network. I am your host, Jason Wally Waldron, and I am joined here today by Ellen Long of Long Business Advisors. And before we dive into this next topic, I want to remind you that you can visit Exitology and simply scroll down and click to apply for a short Exitology Grow to Exit diagnostic session. And during that session, we will evaluate and benchmark your company against thousands of other companies and uncover your best options to grow and exit from your blue collar or industrial company. And with that, Ellen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. In our last segment, we shared a number of great resources, and one of them was a 3-step process to have an extraordinary exit. And it tells you what to do really your 3 years before, 2 years before, 1 year before. And folks, check out the show notes. We'll show you how to get access to that checklist here if you haven't got it already. But as you go through that, that's preparing for the exit. Something happens oftentimes with these businesses when they transition and go through the other side, and that is that up to 70% of your management and key person team is gone after 2 years of doing the exit. And so I'm very curious, maybe you'll revisit this story, but you've told me some stories about people basically being held hostage if this isn't handled correctly. So you've got the post-exit where a lot of people leave. You got the pre-exit where people are going to hold you hostage. How do you get your management team incentivized and on board for this whole journey?
Sure. Well, the first thing I would say is your management team incentivized to grow your company?
Okay.
And tell me how, because if you can't tell me how, then your management team is not aligned with you. So I think a lot of people think, well, I'll just pay them X amount of salary and then the end. But we really like to see if the company wins, if your most important number is profitability, let's say, how does your management team win when they meet the metrics that you've set for them? So number one, do you have key metrics for your management team so that they know this is the scorecard on how we win? And when you win, do they win with you? So first of all, are you even aligned and incentivized now? Because if you're not aligned now, I can promise you at the exit, you won't be.
Right.
So that's the first thing, right? So putting things in place so that they win when you win is huge. And then when it comes to the exit, we put in place, they're called stay bonus plans. And the idea is that if the management team stays, because a lot of times in transition, people can freak out. Oh my gosh, this new company, I don't want to work with them. I worked with you. You're the leader. You're the one I wanted to be with.
Right.
So we do these stay bonus plans where at the exit, a year from exit, they get a chunk of money for staying. So it could be a whole year's salary. It could be a percentage of the sale, but we basically put it in escrow for a year. And if they stay for that year and help through the exit, then they get the money. Now, people always ask us, well, what if the new company fires them? Well, then that's fine. They get their money because it's really about them staying. And if the new company doesn't want them, then great. We're going to pay them the bonus for helping us get to this place.
Right.
And of course, there's things in there like if they get fired, they don't get it, that sort of thing. But the idea is that they get extra for staying, helping transition, and all those things.
So I'm gonna throw a hot one your way here in a second. I've heard a saying that the two biggest lies in business are the check is in the mail and that nothing will change after the merger. And so obviously we're not talking about the check being in the mail here today. So I'd be curious what your thought process and recommendations to folks are about really communicating with the team pre-exit, through exit, post-exit.
Yeah, you have to be careful here, right? Because there's a appropriate time to tell the team, and every business owner has a different idea of when that time is, and ultimately we leave it up to them. So we actually like putting stay bonus plans in place before you're even in the process of exiting.
Okay.
So it's actually a thing that says, hey, we're not thinking about exiting now, but if we were going to, we want you to win with us. So we actually like it before then. So it's not, oh, you're going to sell the company. Oh my gosh. Well, no, it's just, this is part of your compensation package.
Okay.
You're incentivized. Here's your compensation. And here's a little bonus if we end up selling the company. So we actually do it way before. The second thing I would say is, why are you viewing the buyer as a negative thing for your team? If you are, maybe you've chosen the wrong buyer.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the biggest things we tell entrepreneurs is because they're always worried they're going to see this as a negative thing. And we ask them, do you see this as a negative thing? And a lot of times they'll say, no, I'm actually selling the company because I want someone to come in and grow this company even beyond what I can do. Right.
Right.
So you should be telling that and selling that story to your management team. And we have a company right now who's doing an amazing job on it. They brought them in, they brought all their management team in and said, we are going to sell to this company that has better technology, better processes and procedures. They're going to help us grow the company. We're going to stay with you guys for a year or so to help with the transition. We're all going to do this together and we're all going to win together. And this company is actually going to be better for us because that's who we chose. We chose someone where we all win together and it's a better deal for all of us.
So is that the type of thing, that doesn't sound like the normal way of doing things. That sounds like, that sounds very well thought out compared to the normal way of doing things.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of times we'll see, oh my gosh, we sold the company yesterday. Here's your new buyer. We don't like that, especially the bigger your company. And if your management team is truly running it, the buyer will want to interview them anyways. So a lot of times they will actually interview your management team before the close. And so we want the management team to tell a positive story, to tell how they're incentivized, to tell how they're aligned, to tell how they're excited for this new buyer to come in, because here's all the vision that the owner has sold on them for the future.
So how, I'm going back to this unusual in a good way situation you just described, where the ownership is saying, hey, look, we are going to exit. We are going to this strategic buyer. We are going in this direction. Oh, by the way, I'm going with you. Oh, by the way, here's why it's better for everyone. How many years of preparatory work did that take to get to, frankly, a good business situation, but also a very good leadership situation?
For this particular company, 3 to 4 years. It took us about, I would say 4 years, because they were the ones who also we helped figure out that partnership thing. So they figured out the partnership. I always say it's a top-down thing, right? Yeah. So if we can work with entrepreneurs and the top to figure out how does this business support them and is fun for them and is great for them, then we work on, okay, how does that translate to the employee?
So actually, I think that's, you kind of answered a question I was going to ask, because in the preparatory work, this is something I want to call out here for the business owners who are listening to this. That great outcome, the seed that was planted that actually created that great outcome, was them doing the hard work very early on to deal with the partnership issues. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm sure you find this. We find that we can usually tell very early on in an engagement. And we're set up very similar to you. Our initial engagements are fairly short term, and it's because it's a two-way street. If that client can't deal with something it might seem big to them, but frankly, in the scheme of things, fairly small but also difficult, if they can't openly deal in an honest and difficult manner to get past something and have that linchpin moment, sort of, whatever you want to call it, but the linchpin where you pull that out and everything starts to flow from there, then we know that they're not ready, right? And so it sounds like, in this case, they planted that seed, and that was a very important moment to deal with those issues head on, so that then later on they can have the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Your company, well, I would say your management team is going to have the attitude and vision for your company that you actually believe. Because I think there's a difference between business owners can say a lot of things,
right?
But what do they actually believe about the company? What do they actually believe about the exit? So these business owners plan to exit their company in 3 to 4 years, and they planned and had a vision for the type of buyer that they were looking for, right? So they actually turned down the most lucrative deal because they believed that this deal was better for the entire team, was better for the company, and was better for the vision that they had on what they wanted this exit to look like. So they chose a strategic partner in all the ways. And so I think the management team, and even they have a bunch of sort of affiliated people in there as well, they could sell the vision because they believe their own vision.
I think that's pretty cool. And I also think that when I'm hearing this story, if you've built a business that is rewarding you enough financially that you can take a lesser financial offer to do what you view as the correct thing in life, that really, what an amazing, in business they'll call it an intangible reward, but that's not intangible. That's a spiritual reward. That's a true wealth award, and that's the spirit of the business continuing. Do you find that a lot of business owners you work with are open to having that more unusual conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the type of, the ethos that we have as a company, that's how we view things, that success isn't always financial.
Right.
And so our business owners, we ask them the moment that we start them, what are your goals? What are the things you're trying to accomplish outside of just financial? It's so much bigger. It's taking care of, a lot of them want to take care of their employees. They want to make sure they're successful after the exit. They want to make sure their family is being taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's wrapping all of this together in success isn't just measured by financial metrics, right? True success is being able to say, this is what I want. This is what I envision. How can I get to that? And how can everyone win with me? That's just the type of business owners that we get to work with. And it's been a blast.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So at the very beginning, what's a deal breaker? If somebody says, like, what's a red flag that somebody will say to you where you're like, nope, you're not going to ever make it?
Honestly, when they only care about money. If it's all about money to them, that's a deal breaker for us because we care about so much more than just money. Now, we want our business owners to make as much money as we possibly can, and we're going to work our butts off to help them do that. But if at the end of the day, they're willing to sacrifice everything at the altar of money, then they're just going to be our ideal client. And we've had clients like that where they're like, no, I don't want to take care of my family. I don't care about my employees. All I care about is selling this business for the highest price. And we said, there's people out there for you, and it's not us.
I'm just laughing because it's that's a good luck with that kind of moment.
Good time.
Awesome. Well, Ellen, thank you for sharing all this. Folks, we're going to take a short 2-minute break here in a minute. When we come back, we're going to talk about some really interesting things in terms of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make while transitioning their business, and something that's really interesting to me, which is how do you transition to insiders without giving the business away? So stay tuned. You've been listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the International Business Growth Radio Network.